How's it going, guys? And I'm here to talk about new Pokemon Snap. And this was such a pleasant surprise when I saw this game announced in the Pokemon Direct earlier this year. It was such an amazing moment as 1999 was suddenly looking me in the face again. The very year when Pokemon Mania was at its absolute peak, without a doubt. That was the same year that they released the Pokemon movie in the States. Everyone was loving Pokemon. I was probably on my 4th or 5th playthrough of Pokemon Red and Blue Generation 1. And Pokemon Snap was a game actually that I rented from Blockbuster, maybe like 2 times maybe, but I remember beating it, and it was a very enjoyable experience. It was a short game, but a fulfilling game, and a very unique game, and a game that on paper sounded really fucking boring, to be quite honest. I mean, you go around on a track that's set, you really don't have any control of where you're traveling on this expedition of taking photos of Pokemon for Professor Oak. And that's the main idea. You're taking photos and you're earning scores on your photos. And you might be asking yourself, well, wow, that sounds kind of dull. But it was anything but. And new Pokemon Snap isn't a very long game either. It's definitely lengthier than the original. But, man oh man, is it ever satisfying. And not only that, not only does this game pretty much bring back everything from the original game, but you know that you're not playing the N64 anymore. This is a game where I feel that it is taking full advantage of the Switch hardware. And, you gotta really say to yourselves, Sword and Shield, what was going on there? Because now we see without a doubt that this is where it's at. This looks like a current gen game if I ever did see one. I mean, this is phenomenal visuals. You see lush environments. There is so many levels that I love in this game. I mean, you gotta take a look at the underwater level, the jungle level, the beach, and I absolutely love the nighttime levels in this game. This is a game, as I like to call it, like a chill game. You don't really have to worry that much. I mean, you gotta be on the ball, you gotta be quick if you really want to snap some of those great moments with your camera. And that's what this game is all about. It's about capturing moments on your camera, but at the same time, you're making a lot of moments just in general, just by playing this game, which is just phenomenal because it's the scenery, it's the sights, it's the sounds, it's everything. This is a very aesthetically pleasing game, if I do say so myself. So what's the story about? So it's definitely deeper than what we got in the original game. We're in the Lental region this time, and we're a new photographer that's been hired by Professor Mirror, who stands in for Professor Oak, and his assistant, Rita, is along for the ride too. And we've even got the original star of the original Pokemon Snap. Todd, yeah, he's back. Todd is here. There's Todd, guys. He's back. Don't expect too much in the way of character development or anything like that. Aside from seeing Todd grown up, that's about all the development you're really going to get here. And the whole story revolves around Lumina Pokemon. Now, obviously, you're going to be taking photos of all sorts of Pokemon, but Lumina Pokemon are at the forefront. They're the centerpiece here. They're what we saw in the trailer leading up to the release of the game. And they look like glowing Dynamax Pokemon, but they're never said to be Dynamax Pokemon. But after seeing them in Sword and Shield, when I see large, really big Pokemon, that's what I'm going to really go to first in my mind. So there's a lot of ancient lore at work here. There has been documentation from someone called Captain Vince from many years ago, and he researched these Pokemon. He has certain photos of them, but they're not really quite clear, and they're very heavily debated if they exist or not. Basically, no one but Captain Vince had seen these Pokemon, or even said that they had seen them. So I really like that we're kind of getting the ancient lore. You know, we're told in a lot of the mainline Pokemon games that, you know, all these legendaries and things that happened many years ago. So to see that and really be the researcher, because in the games, you know, you hear about these things in passing, but here, this is kind of a side game where we can take the time to kind of build that up a bit and really explore it. So it's a pretty decent story. It's not a deep story. We're not really going into depth, but it is interesting that they chose to finally explore this and delve into it a little deeper this time around. So it's a lot different than with Professor Oak, where, hey, let us take some photos for me. Here, like, Professor Mirror actually wants to do something. He's got a goal in mind, when Professor Oak is just kind of like, hey, let's just take some pictures, guys. Now let's talk a little bit about this gameplay. So obviously this game is about taking pictures of Pokemon, and you move along a designated track in your Neo 1 vehicle, which is an upgraded version of the Zero One seen in the original Pokemon Snap game for the N64. Now, something a little bit different, you can control the movement of the vehicle at certain designated spots when you can switch paths. It would have been cool if they could have included this a little bit more frequently, maybe even do it more than once per level to really make things seem varied and make like you have more of a choice and more control of your movements. But it's really fine. You're gonna mostly be more concerned with taking pictures and moving that camera around. But you will receive an upgrade for the Neo 1 eventually that controls movement speed, and we'll talk about that a little later on. But as for the main premise of the game, you're going to be taking pictures of many Pokemon from various generations. All the generations are represented here, of course, and you're going to be taking photos that will be ranked between 1 and 4 stars, and of course you get a numerical rating as well. Now, a lot of times these ratings really don't make sense. You know, sometimes you look at them and you'll see like a 4-star picture may not look as good as a 1-star picture, and you may get a higher score, and you will see visibly that the photo is not as good. But then you'll learn that there's certain other elements at work here. Certain moments are worth more than others. Sometimes this is a bit of a weird, uneven, lopsided ranking system that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense some of the time, but the more you play, you kind of see where it's coming from, and we are working with an in-game algorithm here, so we can't really feel that Professor Mirror is really giving us an accurate, you know, artistic interpretation of our work, so we kind of have to take what we could get. But it's really enjoyable. There's so much replayability. You want to go back and you want to get higher scores, and it also adds to your research score rating. And as you pass new levels, you'll level up in this game, which is an interesting RPG element that they've brought to the table that wasn't in the original game. And when you come back to these stages, you will see that things change. There's different Pokemon, there's new Pokemon that didn't show themselves the first time around on a previous research level for that same level will now suddenly appear. And you will also have alternate nighttime versions of stages. Wait till you check out the Maracopia Reef stage, that evening stage. You look at the sunset. Oh my god, your heart is going to melt when you play this game. I mean, just take a look at this. The beach at night. I mean, this is pure magic. This is Pokemon magic. This is how I feel that a Pokemon game should make you feel. It gives you a sense of adventure. You know, even though this is not a mainline next generation Pokemon full out RPG of catching them all, but you really feel a sense that you're playing a Pokemon game that is really giving you that real authentic experience of going on an adventure, going on a journey, really getting into the universe and having a good time. And that's truly what Pokemon is all about. And this is a really fun experience. You could really tell that the developers really had a lot of love for this game, and it really shows. The aesthetics, it plays very well, everything is so smooth, and you'll be surprised that Game Freak actually did not work on this game. It was Bandai Namco, and I just got done playing and reviewing an amazing game from Bandai Namco, and that being Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Seems like when it comes to anime games, Bandai Namco, they pretty much got this down pat. Yeah, they make a lot of anime games, without a doubt. They really have been on fire lately with their titles, and new Pokemon Snap is no different. Now, I talked about how well the game plays and the way how the scoring system works, well, and I talked about the moments. So, these Pokemon, they interact. There's some really great moments in this game, and the Pokemon show a lot of great personality. Especially you see like Gengar coming out of a portal. You see Pokemon just interacting with each other. You'll see Scorbunny showing off in front of a bunch of other Pokemon. You'll see Cradily doing a little jig when you play your Pokemon flute. So you have these little apples called Fluff Fruit that you can use. You could bop Pokemon, get their attention to make them do things. You'll also earn these mystical orbs called Illumina Orbs, and you can use these orbs to illuminate Crystalblooms, which have effects on Pokemon's behavior. You also have the returning Poke Flute, which we all know this classic one, the flute that is responsible for waking up Snorlax. You could also use this, as I mentioned before, and Pokemon sometimes will do a dance or they'll be startled, and you could also do scans around the area which also have different effects. So there's a lot of experimentation that goes into this game. It's really fun, and this is what adds to the replay value. You're going to keep on going back into these levels and trying to experiment with different techniques. So this game actually requires more thought than you might think upon closer inspection, and I really like that. It's a simple game on the surface, but dig beneath that shiny crust and you'll see that there's actually more to be had here gameplay-wise. And we actually get, for the first time ever, some cinematic cutscenes that actually cuts away from the in-game graphics, and we get some really juicy looking graphics that look absolutely beautiful, and they're fully voice acted, but they're extremely brief. And much like in the style of Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, when it goes back to the regular in-game cutscenes that are like using the actual graphics of the game, we get these little voice clips. And, I don't understand why we couldn't just have full voice acting. Like Professor Hero will go like, well, here's the thing. And I don't get it, like, why they couldn't just splurge just a little bit. Like, they couldn't be bothered. Like, there's so little voice acting. And if you have the voice actors here, it's not like there's so much dialogue, after you finish researching a level and you get to the next research level and you achieve that, yeah, you'll get a cutscene. But I don't get, like, why can't we get a little bit more? I mean, it would be awesome. Make it like an episode of the anime, but, in the video game for a change. Why are we deprived for so many years, for so many decades of Pokemon voice acting? I mean, we get it here and it's really cool. And it sounds good from what I've heard, the very little bit that there is. And I was really excited. And then when it was over, I was like, oh man, come on, can't we get a little bit more? I just thought it would kind of make the story just seem a bit more interesting, but we do get enough of it kind of where it counts. And I like when we uncover that the final Illumina Pokemon that ties the whole mystery together is Xerneas from Pokemon X. And it was cool to see this Pokemon again. It really was. I really enjoyed seeing this, and it's very like mystical as you're going into the ruins and you're trying to get the snapshots of this mystical, beautiful looking legendary Pokemon, and it kind of brings things full circle. And also, after it's all said and done, it's really fun just going back into all the other stages and using a lot of the power-ups that you gain along the way. You'll also earn a power-up for the Neo 1 for your vehicle that allows you to speed up this way so you can catch Pokemon in different poses and situations that you couldn't previously because you were going too slow. Also, something that's interesting, when you get this power-up, you actually learn from Professor Mirror that when you zoom in or you have yourself turned around and you're facing backwards, that this actually slows your progress because you're on an automatic track that moves. So this would have been information that it would have been nice to have in the beginning of the game, but it's nice that it tells us. I mean, it's a little bit late. I'm already near the end of the game. I'm already 3/4 of the way through when you told me about this. But yeah, thanks for the information there, buddy. So the variety of levels and the locales it takes you to, I also love this mystical woods level where you're transported around and you see all sorts of odd Pokemon, and it just feels like a dream world. And this game does feel kind of dreamy. It feels otherworldly, and I kind of like that surrealness that it has to it. It really gives you this sense of serendipity. And it just feels, as I said before, so relaxing, and just is such a refined experience. It's highly addictive, a lot of fun, it's really beautiful to look at, and just as much fun to play. Guys, I totally recommend that you give this game a try. The only department where I could say maybe it could have improved a little bit is the music. The music is relaxing, but it is kind of forgettable. Usually when I play a Pokemon game, I'm usually humming a lot of the tunes, I'm bobbing my head, but this one is kind of forgettable. It's one of the more forgettable Pokemon soundtracks. I kind of understand what they were going for here. They didn't want some music, you know, that's pretty common with Pokemon, the more catchy, groovy kind of stuff, but there have been more relaxing tunes, so I don't know, I kind of felt like Bandai Namco could have really kind of upped this category a bit. I've kind of expect some grade A stuff from my Pokemon games when it comes to the music department, because Sword and Shield had a great soundtrack, without a doubt, and it would have been nice to have one here too. But it's not bad music. It's not great music, but it's good. It's decent enough, I would say. I would say it's slightly above average, but it's nothing that's blowing my socks off. And I like when I play a Pokemon game for my socks to be blown clean off by the sound design. And this score is forgettable, sadly, but that's not really a big loss. Anyway, guys, if you have played new Pokemon Snap, let me know what you think down in the comments down below. Did you enjoy this game? Did you think it was as beautiful and breathtaking as I thought that it was? Because it truly, truly is, and I can't stress that enough in this review. This really is a grandiose looking game. And guys, if you haven't subscribed, please do so already. Click the bells to get all notifications when I post on my new videos. I want to thank all my patrons for your continued support, and thanks again, guys. I will see you next time.